When it comes to power, one of the most important questions we're faced with when it comes to speedsters is who is really the fastest? Welcome back, Nerd Squad, it's me, Amanda, and the reason why this is the question we have to examine up close is because with speedsters they are powered by speed, so speed is pretty intrinsic to their abilities, capability, and power levels. That being said, who do you think is the fastest? Race it out in the comments below as we count down the top 10 most powerful speedsters in comics. Number 10. Blur. Starting it off light and breezy, coming in at our number 10 spot is Blur, Stanley Stewart, who is an alternate of an alternate character. Blur appeared in Marvel's Heroes Reborn event and comic from 2021. Blur is fast enough to walk on water, run on air, and can travel at supersonic speeds, though he typically prefers to travel around a couple hundred miles an hour, not having too much reason usually to travel faster. Blur is an alternate version of Stanley Stewart's Whizzer from Earth 712, and Stanley Stewart is an alternate of Robert Frank's Whizzer from the main continuity of Earth 616 and from way back near the beginning of Marvel Comics history. Whizzer is, well, he's kind of Marvel's ripoff of The Flash, and his powers and outfit definitely reflect this. However, not saying that to knock him, because I mean, The Flash and Super Speed are just both great, so it makes sense that Marvel, or Timely as they were known then, would want to create their own version of such a fantastic character with such a fantastic power set. I love Super Speed, and personally I don't think we have enough heroes over at Marvel whose abilities are based on that power set. Number 9. Red Death. I mean, it was really hard for me to rank Red Death on here because while he is a villain and he does ultimately get defeated, he also is pretty insanely powerful when it comes to a few of his other abilities. One of the most wild abilities Red Death from Earth -52 in the Dark Multiverse has, while Bruce is in the driver's seat, is that he can create bat-like Speed Force energy constructs, which he can use to attack his enemies with. Coming into contact with these constructs causes you to age rapidly, making you wither away as though you had lived 1,000 years in an instant, but I guess without getting any wiser, which is really quite a downside. Basically, what I have learned from the Dark Multiverse is that if Bruce Wayne becomes anyone else other than Batman, he's terrifying. And honestly, even when Bruce is Batman, he's terrifying. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, and if you want to hear more about us talking about all the speedsters, check out our Flash playlist because, you know, we got a lot of fast people on there because it's the Flash. Number 8. Quicksilver. Quicksilver is definitely one of the fastest people around in the Marvel Universe. Sure, he might not be as fast as the Flash, although even that is debatable considering he's from a completely different publisher, so you know, it's not like we're getting daily matchups where the two are pitted against one another, but you know, he's still pretty impressive. He managed to return after being trapped and isolated outside of reality in his own series, Quicksilver No Surrender. Pietro proved fast enough to defeat Mr. X, a character with precognition abilities so clear and quick that they could anticipate and respond to any hero's actions, rendering those who attempted to take him on pretty much useless. Well, almost any hero, that is. Quicksilver does not have precog abilities, but he didn't need them to handily defeat Mr. X because Pietro's reaction times were just simply that much faster, forcing Mr. X to simply see what he needed to do in order to defeat Quicksilver, but leaving him basically unable to act fast enough to prevent Quicksilver from absolutely whomping him. Pretty devastating stuff. Number 7. Irey West II. I won't deny that I'm more familiar with the version of Irey West II that we had in the New Earth continuity, but having to catch up on some of what Iris has been up to lately in the Prime Earth reality has been just as much of a delight for me. And I'm happy to say that we don't seem to have really nerfed her that much. In the New Earth continuity, Iris was believed to be one of the most gifted among the young speedsters we've come to know in the comics. This likely has to do with the fact that she is the daughter of Wally West and Linda Park. We would expect her to inherit Wally's speed, and considering that Wally is one of the fastest speedsters around, you'd think she would be capable of becoming one of the fastest ever. In the New Earth continuity, it was even implied that Iris did have the potential to become even faster than her dad. In the Prime Earth continuity, Irey West II has not been slowing down. In fact, recently she was shown to be able to even use her powers to travel to alternate dimensions, which is pretty impressive for one so young. And considering that, you know, for most other Flashes, that is not necessarily even a power that is inherent to them, more something they really need to push hard for as grown adults when they really need to do so. So I think that's pretty impressive. Or or alternatively, a lot of Flashes need devices to help them do that, so can't just do it by themselves normally. Number 6. Reverse Flash. Eobard Thawne is one of the most fearsome villains in the DC universe, especially when we're talking Speedsters. Despite his super weird name, the threat he poses is very real. He is a time-traveling villain from the future who became a speedster and a villain, yet is known for being creepily one of Barry Allen's biggest fans, which is actually exactly why Eobard is so obsessed with Barry and ruining his life, completely fixated on the hero, the Flash. I would consider him to be insanely powerful because of how delicate yet cruel his manipulation of time is and can be. Not only that, but he can be weirdly petty and powerful is a deadly combination. Eobard also does not need the cosmic treadmill to traverse time, and has the finesse to travel back in time, alter the timeline, and then return to the time stream before the same timeline has time to basically split off, meaning that he can literally change history with his manipulation of time, as opposed to just creating another splintered alternate reality where things are different. Number 5. Barry Allen. Barry Allen is probably the most recognizable version of the Flash, considering that he's been the Flash for years in the comics, and his story inspired a live-action adaptation over at CW with their show The Flash, which follows Grant Gustin's portrayal of the character. A show that has almost entered the double digits in terms of how many seasons we've gotten of it, with the 9th being their final season. Barry Allen is often the hero who, against all odds, manages to come out on top and set things right, even if he maybe kinda was the person to maybe mess them up in the first place. Barry Allen might not be the fastest Flash out there, but he is probably the person who to this day has the best scientific understanding of the Speed Force, and it's often this that allows him to continuously adapt and evolve as time goes on. He also has been shown to be one of the only people to actually tap into and harness the entirety of the Speed Force all at once, which honestly, that's pretty impressive. Speed Force channeling all that's no small feat. Number 4. Black Flash. I mean, the Black Flash is in essence death itself, and while it is the death for speedsters alone, this still means it needs to be pretty fast in order to simply catch them. The Black Flash has successfully proven themselves faster than Barry Allen, but despite being death itself, doesn't take our top spot because there are speedsters who have actually managed to outrun even death, and there are others still who have fought to actually not just outrun, but defeat this dark speedster. Number 3. Wally West. Wally West is probably one of the coolest and fastest speedsters in existence. He also happens to be one of my personal favorites, so of course, I have to include him on the list and give him one of my top spots. When it comes to speed, Wally has beaten both Barry Allen, his uncle, and Superman, which is a pretty impressive feat considering that for the most part, Barry Allen is still the guy that people think of when they think of the Flash, one of the fastest superheroes in existence in the DC universe. Not only can Wally West outrun most when it comes to speed, but he can also often outdistance, considering his superhuman stamina. He has run for days on end without a break. When he remembered his children but no one else did following the reboot of the New 52, he basically ran himself ragged trying to find them, running for days and days and days on end. Using his super speed, he also has insane reflexes and quick thinking abilities, and of course thanks to physics, super strength as well. In fact, he's even proven to be stronger than other Flashes, like when he pretty easily bulldozed through a group of evil alternate Flashes from the dark multiverse. Made that look super easy. Number 2. Godspeed. Godspeed is definitely one of the most powerful speedsters out there for me. Why? Well, because he has the ability to actually take on the powers and speed of other speedsters, draining them of not just their speed, but also of their energy, their life energy as well. I would also argue that while Eobard Thawne was the clear and direct inspiration for the character of the same name in CW's The Flash, that a lot of the abilities that we actually saw Thawne demonstrate while operating under the guise of Harrison Wells were inspired, in fact, by Godspeed. Godspeed himself is a villain and enemy of Barry Allen, who actually was once his ally and partner as a detective, August Hart. He is well known for his creativity when it comes to utilizing his powers, managing to figure out how to use his powers early on to do seemingly impossible things, such as being in 2 places at once, creating Speed Force constructs, and even draining the power and life force energy from other speedsters. In theory, if Godspeed were to drain the speed from all of the others mentioned on this list, he would become the most powerful speedster pretty much ever. While he hasn't done this yet, obviously, I still feel this ability alone makes him one of the most powerful speedsters ever written. And I'm sure at this point you are wondering where the heck else we can go from here when it comes to topping this power level. Number 1. Zoom. Zoom, I would argue, is one of the fastest fastest villains when it comes to speedsters that we've ever seen in the comics. And not only that, but he is also super smart as well, making him a deadly foe for either Barry Allen or even his nephew Wally West to come up against. Hunter Zolomon has even managed to beat both heroes together, in fact successfully manipulating them into breaking the Speed Force barrier, which is how he actually got his own super speed powers. Zolomon has also been shown to be as fast as one of the fastest there is, Wally West the Flash himself. Like Irey, he has also been shown to be capable of dimensional travel through use of the Speed Force. And now not only does Zolomon have the Speed Force, but he's also managed to access multiple forces including the Sage Force, Strength Force, Forever Force, and the Still Force. The Still Force especially is pretty wild considering it gives Zoom the power to just basically stop anything in motion, forcing it to be still. Pretty powerful if you happen to be often fighting against speedsters, like Zoom often is. With the Forever Force, he also gains complete control over time, allowing him to gaze through it to gain further insight, and he can also now just cause massive shockwaves by snapping because time and comics, I guess. The good news is he came back to the side of the good and ended up sacrificing himself to set things right, so for now at least, we don't have to worry too much about all this power, but I imagine when he does come back, he's gonna be crazy OP. Thank you so much for watching, I will see you again soon, but until then, you stay nerdy YouTube. Bye!